first story today is about a stepdad who heard, "You're not my dad," and ended up responding with the cheesiest dad joke imaginable. My stepdaughter, Madeline, was about 1 year old when I married her mother, Jessica. Madeline's biological father died before she was born. Madeline is currently 15, and lately she's been rebelling against almost everything. A couple of days ago, she did something pretty serious, so while picking her up, I set a punishment for her. That's when she looked at me and said, "You're not my dad. I don't have to follow you." Honestly, that hurt. But I also know she's a teenager and she was angry, so I tried not to take it too personally. I just replied, "I'm still your legal guardian for the next 3 years, and as long as you're in my house, you have to follow my rules." So yeah, that happened. 2 days later, our family went grocery shopping together, and Madeline suddenly said, "I'm hungry. I need food." And I don't know why, but in that moment, I decided to be extremely cheeky. I looked at her and said, "Hi, hungry. I'm not your dad." My son immediately started laughing uncontrollably. My daughter went completely quiet from embarrassment, and my wife was not having it at all. She started berating me, telling me not to stoop down to Madeline's level. But honestly, I thought it was a harmless dad joke, and my son clearly agreed. Later that night, after dinner, I went to Madeline's room to talk. I said, "Hey, I'm really sorry I hurt you with what I said." And then I told her the truth. "I am your dad. I changed your diapers, I met your boyfriend, and I plan on helping you through college." Then I added, trying to lighten it just a little, "Plus, I'm legally your dad, so we're kinda stuck together." But then I got serious again. "Even if you don't think I'm your dad, I'm still going to love you like my daughter." Then I hugged her. She started to cry, and honestly, I took that as a good sign. After that, we decided to have a father and daughter bonding weekend, and it was awesome. I took her bowling, we went to get manicures, we even became Disney princesses. And yes, I looked amazing as Jasmine. She loved it, I loved it, everyone was happy. Then we decided to go out for dinner, and I asked her, "I'm starving. What do you want, Maddie?" She looked at me with the biggest smirk on her face and said, "Hi, starving. I'm not your daughter." I froze for a second, and then I smiled. She hugged me and I kissed her forehead. And honestly, I'm pretty sure she'd been planning that comeback for weeks. So yeah, sometimes a silly joke turns into a moment you'll both remember forever. And I think they're going to be okay. Second story today is about a stepdad who's been trying to do everything right. And then one day, his stepdaughter accidentally calls him dad for the very first time. I'm a 32-year-old man, and I've been married to my wife, Rose, for 4 years now. Before that, we dated for 2 years. Rose has a daughter named Lola, and she's 9. Lola's biological father, John, is very present in her life. He's a good dad. He lives about 2 hours away because of work, but he still spends a lot of time with her on weekends and holidays. They video chat a lot, and he shows up to her school plays, her sports events, everything. When I first started dating Rose, I honestly didn't know what my relationship with Lola would look like. I've had both a stepmother and a stepfather before, so I know these relationships can go wrong really easily. So I tried to be careful, and I tried to do my best. I played with Lola, listened to her whenever she wanted to talk, helped her when she needed help, and I never tried to replace anyone. I didn't really set rules for her. I just made sure she followed Rose's rules, because Rose is her mom. And over the past 6 years, we actually bonded. Then something happened yesterday that completely caught me off guard. Lola absolutely crushed a math test. She got a full score, and she was the only kid in her whole class who did. And honestly, yeah, I was proud of her. I know I'm allowed to be proud of her. I'm going to be proud of her anyway. So I wanted to reward her. She told me she wanted ice cream, so I took her to an ice cream shop. Everything felt normal. We ordered, we paid, and I handed her the ice cream. And then she looked at me and said, "Thank you, Dad." and immediately after that, she rushed back into the car. I just stood there for a second, like, wait, did she really just say that? I was completely stunned. She had never called me Dad before. She normally calls me by my name or a nickname. And the thing is, she didn't even seem to realize she said it. So I didn't react weirdly. I didn't make it a huge moment. I just acted normal. I brought her back home and later we celebrated with Rose. But ever since then, I can't stop thinking about it. I don't know what I should do if Lola calls me Dad again. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy about it. I really am. I love her like she's my own daughter. But she already has a father. And she loves him, and he loves her. And I can't help but feel like he wouldn't like hearing her call someone else Dad. So now I'm sitting here wondering, should I say something if she calls me Dad again? And if I do, what do I even say? Because honestly, that one tiny word meant more to me than I expected, and I don't want to ruin it. Third story today is about a stepdad who's been in a kid's life for years, but during the teenage years, he suddenly starts feeling like the enemy in his own home. I'm currently surviving the teenage years with my 15-year-old stepson and my partner. I've been in his life since he was about 8.5. My partner keeps saying he's just being a teenager, but I honestly don't agree. And after we got back from vacation 2 weeks ago, I finally hit a breaking point. I've basically gone full nacho, like not my kid, not my problem. But I'm still living in the same house, dealing with the same tension, and it's exhausting. Since we got back, this is what I've been dealing with, just from my last conversation with my stepson. And yes, I told my partner everything. First, he told me he can't take advice from me because I haven't been in his life since he was born, and I'm not his dad. The crazy part is his biological dad was barely around. Apparently, he saw him briefly after he was born, like twice. That's it. Then my stepson said he can't or won't ask me for advice about high school or life in general because when he looks at me, he just sees a fat person with an easy life. That one hurt a lot. Then there was the punishment situation. He took our car out after midnight twice. So I looked into some community service options with a couple of organizations. I asked him to choose one. He refused. So I made the choice for him. I scheduled an orientation date and told him about it. And he just looked at me and said he's not doing it. So I told him, fine, then you're not getting your permit. But then my partner said something different where his uncle would basically help him with some work around their house and church. And they both kept saying it's the same thing. But to me, it's not the same. And honestly, the disrespect doesn't stop there. My stepson regularly texts my partner privately outside our group chat just to complain about me. He says I won't protect him, or my partner, or our biological child. He calls me a loser. He even says I got mad at my partner just because he has to do this half-hearted community service with his uncle. He also gets into my stuff. He takes my things without asking. And on top of that, he's been semi-bullying my partner about food. He sends her reels about fasting, about eating once a day, about living for your family, like constant self-help content mixed with guilt in workout videos. It's weird and it's toxic. And then there's Father's Day. I didn't get anything from him this year, and I'm not saying I expected a gift, but it still sucks because I always go out of my way to make sure he gets something for his mom. Right now, my partner and I barely communicate. She says my stepside knows he won because I don't acknowledge him, I don't speak to him, and I don't drive him anywhere. And I'll be honest, she's right. I've stopped engaging. I've stopped stepping in. I've stopped trying. Last night, I asked my partner if we could just talk about how I'm feeling, and she just went to bed. And I'm beyond frustrated. My stepson is the kind of kid who has an answer for everything. Anything he sees on social media is the truth. So now I'm sitting here wondering, am I doing Nacho the right way? Should I acknowledge him? Should I speak to him? Or is that just giving him exactly what he wants? Because I'm trying to keep the peace, but I'm starting to feel like I don't even belong in my own family.
And the fourth story today is about a dad who finds out he has a daughter he never knew existed, takes her in, becomes her real family, and then the man who disowned her suddenly wants to come back. I'll try to keep this as short as possible because I honestly don't like thinking about this situation too much. And if I leave anything out, I'm sorry. Back in November of 2019, I was 42 years old. I was at home playing a game with my wife and our kids, our boys were 9 and 4 at the time, when I heard a knock at the door. When I opened it, there were 2 police officers standing there and a shy-looking girl, who I'll call Jane. She's 19 now. I let them in, completely confused, and that's when the officers told me something I never ever expected to hear. Jane was my biological daughter. I had no idea she even existed. They brought me a DNA test, and suddenly everything started making sense. Here's the backstory. About 20 years ago, I had a one-night stand with a woman I met at a party. At the time, I didn't know she was married, but she was. Her husband, who I'll call Steve, raised Jane as his own daughter for her whole life. And then, years later, Jane took a 23andMe test. It was just a small gift from one of her friends. And that test exposed everything. Steve found out Jane wasn't biologically his. And when he found out, he absolutely exploded. He blew up at Jane, he blew up at her mother, and he kicked both of them out of the house immediately. During the divorce, he said horrible things. He told Jane she was a lie, that she would never be his daughter ever again, and that he never wanted to see her again. Jane cried. She begged him, because to her, Steve was the only father she had ever known. But Steve removed his name from the birth certificate and went completely no contact. At that point, I asked why Jane wasn't staying with her biological mom, and the officers explained something even darker. Her mother fell into a deep depression and started using drugs, and over time she became verbally and physically abusive. Then, about a week before this all happened, there was an accident, and CPS stepped in and took Jane away. So now, Jane had nowhere safe to go, and I remember standing there thinking, this is my daughter, and she needs someone. So I agreed to take her in. Jane brought her bags into our home that night, and honestly, everything felt unstable at first. For a while, Jane was really shy around us. She barely spoke. She stayed quiet most of the time. But my wife and I tried our best to make her feel welcome. We didn't want her to feel like a guest. We wanted her to feel safe. Our oldest son, Alex, immediately loved her. He always wanted a sister, and he tried to spend time with her constantly. Our younger son, Tony, well, he was basically a newborn when she arrived, so he just grew up with her in the house and loved her naturally. And slowly, over time, Jane started opening up. We got closer and closer. And then in December 2020, we were having a family movie night, and out of nowhere, Jane leaned over, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "I love you, Dad." I swear, in that moment, everything changed. We all cried. Okay, everyone cried except me, but I was still overwhelmed with happiness. Today, Jane is 19. She's in college, and it honestly feels like she's always been part of our family, like we somehow raised her whole life. But now, here's the problem. About a week ago, I got a message from someone I didn't recognize. When I opened it, my stomach dropped. It was Steve. The message was long, but I'll reword it the best I can. He said something like, "Hello, I want to talk to you about Jane. When I found out she wasn't mine, my world shattered. I kicked her out because I couldn't bear to see her after the love of my life betrayed me like that. I know you had no fault in this, but it still hurts. Over the last year, I've realized my daughter will always be my daughter. Nothing can change that. I want to apologize to her. Please let me see her again." At first, my instinct was to tell Jane immediately. But then I remembered something from a conversation 7 months ago. My oldest son asked Jane about her other dad, and I overheard Jane say something like, "Oh, you mean my ex-father? He doesn't realize the damage he did to me, and it took me so long to recover." That stuck with me. The only person I told about Steve's message was my wife, and she told me to leave it alone, to ignore it completely. But now I feel stuck because I can see 3 possible outcomes. 1, I tell Jane, and it brings all that pain back to the surface again. 2, I respond to Steve myself and see where it goes. Or 3, I ignore the message and let our lives continue like normal. And I genuinely don't know what the right answer is. Jane still lives at home with us because a college isn't far away and she wants to save money. And as she's opened up more over time, she claims she has no love or respect for Steve anymore. So now I'm just sitting here trying to figure out what to do, because part of me wants to protect her peace, but another part of me knows she deserves the choice.
The last story today is about a stepdad who spent years building a family, and then overnight he has to choose between his marriage and protecting his daughter. I'm 40 years old, and my wife Laura and I have been together for 10 years. We've been married for 7. Our relationship has always been great. Laura went through a lot of pain with her ex. He emotionally abused her. But Laura was still one of the kindest people I'd ever met. I fell for her fast, and pretty early on, I knew I wanted to marry her. Laura has a daughter named Riley. She's 19 now. Riley's father has always been in and out of her life, and because of that, she had a lot of resentment, especially toward her mom dating at all. I didn't meet Riley until about a year into my relationship with Laura, and she definitely didn't warm up to me right away. I tried to be understanding. I didn't try to replace her dad. I didn't try to force a father role. I just gave her space. But things got really hard when they moved in with me. For a few years, Riley acted out constantly. She would break anything I bought her. She got in trouble at school all the time, and she told both of us over and over that she hated us and wanted to go live with her dad. But her dad wouldn't take her. He barely paid child support and he barely showed up. Still, Riley blamed me and Laura anyway. It caused stress, but I loved Laura so much that I stayed patient. I kept showing up, and we made it work. Then, when Riley was 14, her dad remarried and basically cut her off completely. It devastated her. Laura and I did everything we could to support her. We got her into therapy, we took her on a trip to cheer her up, and after a while, Riley started improving. Her grades went up, she stopped getting in trouble as much, and slowly, over time, she and I built a better relationship. I kept being consistent. I went to her soccer games, I helped with homework, and eventually the three of us felt like an actual family. Honestly, I wouldn't change anything about our dynamic. But then, last week, Riley sat us down and told us something. She told us she was bisexual, and she said she wanted us to meet her girlfriend. I had absolutely no issue with it. I told her I was proud of her. I told her we would love her girlfriend, and I even started thinking about making dinner plans so we could all sit together and meet her properly. But my wife went completely silent. She just stared at Riley. Laura grew up in a really religious household, and I guess maybe I should have known, because even though she always acted like she was fine with LGBTQ plus people, I think she was only fine with it as long as it was never in her family. Then she looked at Riley and told her to get out. The whole room went quiet. Riley and I looked at each other, and I could see she was about to cry. And then Laura started yelling. She said awful things to her. She told her she didn't even want to look at her. She said that unless Riley went to a religious conversion camp, Riley had to get out of the house, that she wasn't welcome here. That's when I finally stepped in. I told Laura to stop. I told her we were not kicking Riley out for being who she is. And suddenly, my wife turned all that anger on me. She told me I was betraying her. She said I was choosing a sinner over her. She said that unless we got Riley fixed, she wasn't family anymore. At that point, I told Riley to go to her room and that Laura and I needed to talk. I tried to talk Laura down, but she wouldn't hear any of it. She was completely set on kicking Riley out. Not only that, she wanted to cut Riley off entirely. She wanted to take back the car we gave her, stop paying for her classes, stop paying for her therapy. She even blamed the therapist, and she blamed me. She blamed me for pushing therapy in the first place. I tried to tell her that if we did that, we'd be leaving Riley vulnerable, but Laura didn't care. She actually said she hoped that if Riley hit rock bottom, she would come back and then we could send her to conversion camp. I was totally against those camps. I was disgusted, and nothing I said changed her mind. We went to bed without resolving anything.
I found some reading material for Laura, something I thought might help her understand. She refused to even look at it, and I started realizing I don't know if I can support this. I don't even know if I can look at my wife the same way, because seeing how hateful she could be toward her own daughter, it honestly broke something inside me. I didn't know what to do. At first, I was still thinking about how to fix my marriage, but after reading what people told me, I realized what really matters here. I don't even care about the marriage anymore. I just want to protect my stepdaughter. After that, my wife went to stay with her parents for now. She still thinks I betrayed her because I chose Riley. And honestly, I made my choice, and I don't regret it. I talked to Riley and told her clearly, I will support you no matter what. You are always welcome in my home. She started blaming herself for the problems in my marriage, but I told her this isn't her fault, that I'd rather know the truth about my wife's beliefs now than stay married and pretend everything is fine. Tonight, we're doing a movie marathon and ordering pizza to cheer her up. Her girlfriend's coming over for dinner on Sunday, and I'm actually looking forward to meeting her. Riley's still having a rough time. There have been a lot of tears, but she told me how much it means that I've always been there for her. And honestly, I don't think she wants to see her mother for a while. Maybe not even. And that surprised me. But I understand it, because sometimes being a parent isn't about biology. It's about who stays, who protects you, and who loves you when it's hard.
All right, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed these Reddit stories and Minecraft, like the video and subscribe for the next one. It's going to be a good one. Let me know in the comments which story shocked you the most. And if you want to read the originals, all the Reddit links are in the description. Good night, and I'll see you soon.